Yeah, and so everything you said has been definitely completely the case in my firsthand experience learning Japanese. But this whole kind of view on language acquisition is completely counter to, well, largely I would say still what is commonly believed, but we can get into that a little bit. But certainly at the time, it was probably completely unheard of, like totally foreign, the idea that um, language acquisition is this unconscious process and you can't reach true proficiency through this conscious study. So, what did the process look like of discovering those conclusions and realizing that what was considered to be common sense might be totally wrong?
Okay, first of all, let me point out that I'm not the originator of this idea. Other people had it before me. In the field of literacy, 10 years before I started this, Frank Smith, Kenneth Goodman said the same thing about reading. We learn to read by reading. We learn to read by making sense of what's on the page. I remember going into a bookstore and I found Reading Without Nonsense by Frank Smith. And I was already kind of a big shot giving talks and all that. And I read the book like in one sitting. It was beautiful. My whole theory right there, expressed much more clearly than I ever did, based on completely different data. I got right away contacted Frank Smith and we started a very interesting, fruitful collaboration. In the field of second language, other people talked about it before I did. A guy named Pitt Corder in the UK talked about it. A guy named Leonard Newmark, who is a professor at UC San Diego, wrote papers about it. Okay, history, how it happened. Doing serious research, I was forced into this position. First of all, I was doing work on order of acquisition of grammatical morphemes. That was early work in the 1970s.
And this on children or for adults?
Well, it began with children in first language, Roger Brown, and then second language, Heidi Dulé and Marina Burt found the order was the same for children acquiring English as a second language. And my research with two of my colleagues was done with adults, and we found the same order. And people jumped on it, fortunately trying to disprove it, which was very helpful. And the counter evidence led to a deeper hypothesis. One of my colleagues found that she could not get the natural order. This was Diane Larson Freeman, but she got it in a test situation. We got it in kind of free talking. They found under testing situation, the order changes. To me, that was my interpretation was this was conscious learning interfering with the natural acquisition process. That led me to the idea there might be two systems. Also, one of my students did a term paper, Pauline Pan. She spoke English very well. Her first language is Mandarin, and she had just a little bit of an accent. Her project was wonderful. Her son, who was 16, very fluent in English, left paper and pencil around the apartment. And every time mom made a mistake in English, he would write it down. We then did an error analysis. We then looked at it and we found that Pauline could self-correct every mistake she made. Again, these two came together, two systems. There's acquisition, which is responsible for our fluency, our production, and there's conscious learning, which only acts as a monitor, as an editor to change it. Since then, study after study after study has confirmed it, but that was the original hypothesis, where we had data we could not explain without hypothesizing that there are these two different systems and acquisition is the big one. So there's the whole boring history for you.
No, that's very interesting.